You know, there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
Hello, I'm film director Shawn Burkett, and you have been listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father. And as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. But before I bring on my awesome guest, please get out to YouTube and subscribe to BODS Mayhem Hour. Click that notification bell and subscribe because that will tremendously help me out. And let's get me over 1,000, folks. Come on, this podcast needs to be around 30 million. That's my God. I'm just throwing a number out there. You know, you got to go big or go home. So that's what I always say. So come on, folks. Help me out. Today's guest is filmmaker Shawn Burkett, and he will release the long-awaited sequel to the cult slasher film Don't Bang in the Woods, which is Don't Fuck in the Woods. I'm just going to try to say it nicely because there's youngins on here that listen to this stuff. 2 on October the 11th. And you definitely want to go back and check out part 1. It was released in 2016, starring Brittany Blanton, Cheyenne Gordon, Julie Ann Prescott, Kaylee Williams, Mark Justice, and Jason Crow. So I have Shawn on here to talk about all this. So welcome to the podcast, man. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem whatsoever. I say you are just running through the mill today. Just all these interviews, man, getting this movie out there. That's a good thing.
I mean, it is, and this is an avenue that I've never really done before.
Really?
Like, normally, like, I'm going to the conventions and handing out promo, that kind of thing. Like, so this is a little new. Like, I'll do, like, a podcast, like, or 2 a year or something. Mm-hmm. But, like, yeah, having a PR company behind it is very nice.
You know what, man? But still, that's very awesome. But you still got to put in that footwork, like you said, those conventions and stuff like that. And it's kind of like what's those saying, shaking hands and kissing babies and all that stuff. Like
Yep. Oh, that's especially when you're crowdfunding. It's like running for president. You gotta. I'm sending messages to everyone, whether they want to hear what I have to say or not.
So what got you into wanting to make movies, man? What was that spark for you that said, you know, I'm going to try this and see what happens with it?
Well, I grew up watching horror movies. My grandpa watched me and basically raised me to where the best babysitter was to put me in front of a TV. Like many people my age. I mean, so he would take me to the movie store and basically I would pick out like 3 movies every couple days and he didn't care what they were, which he should have, because I don't think an 8-year-old at that time should have really seen I Spit on Your Grave. Because I had questions afterwards, and he was like, well, what the hell did you watch? But it wasn't until a movie came out, I can't remember what year it was, but the movie was Hard Candy. And I had never seen a movie before that had me like on the edge of my seat, but they also like didn't show anything. Like, you're thinking that she is, I don't like neutering him just from the way she's talking about it. And it was crazy. After that, I remember calling a buddy and I was like, dude, you got to watch this movie. We need to make movies or something. It wasn't for like another 5 or 6 years before I did that, because at that point I was a touring musician. So it wasn't until I started having kids to where I was like, I need to find something else. I should have found a real job But instead, my now business partner, he was into the horror cons and everything. And at this point in time, Joe Bob Briggs was looking for scripts to turn into films. And he was like, we should do one. And it got to the point where he's developing the script and everything. And I'm like, why don't we just make it? Like, it can't be that hard. So yeah, it was a pain for sure.
Little did you know.
Little did I know what we were getting into. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into film. And then from there, it almost became an addiction. Like, this is so fun. Like, we weren't really making money or anything, but I've always had a love for telling a story, whether it's in a song or, now movies. So it kind of fit like what I was into at that time.
See, I Spit on Your Grave for You was your first one, and my favorite one of all time, if I'm correct on this, was the very first one I saw was Redneck Zombies.
Yeah.
Movie. Oh my God. So cheesy, but so good.
Well, that's one of those classic, like, I can remember I still know what that cover looks like.
Yeah.
From seeing it in my local video store.
Yep.
So it's like, there's just some of those films that are just so nostalgic, even though some of them are just so bad.
But you still got to watch them.
Right.
So how excited are you to release this sequel to this movie part 2, man? I got to know, like, because you went from part 1 and now to this one. How excited are you to get this one out now?
I mean, I'm excited. I'm always going to be nervous because the first one, after it got pirated, it just kind of like, I don't want to say it hurt my feelings, but it kind of hurt my feelings because whoever pirated it actually got it from our Indiegogo campaign. So like, they paid to help have the film made, and then kind of in one outlook devastated the film, but in the other outlook made it a hit.
Yeah.
It's still one of those things, though, at the end of the day, being pirated over 2 million times, even if I would have got a penny of that, I'd be sitting better than where I'm sitting now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I hope it's not one of these people that did that goes, well, I'll help, make the movie. I mean, come on, folks. These guys are putting in a hard time and work on this. It's a labor of love, but still, come on. Following the arrival of a mysterious woman, a group of camp counselors, partying before the summer season begins, must face off against parasitic monsters. They are attracted to sexual activity. Now, I want to go back this for a little bit because when I ask this question, folks, it's going to tie into everything. If you kept up with horror movies, was this an homage to like Sleepaway Camp or to like Friday the 13th kind of deal, because they had those camp counselors, you know what I'm saying? And then yet they still had that sexual stuff in it. Was that kind of like an homage to that, or did that even come up?
To an extent, we kind of, I looked at the first one as being like, I mean, Evil Dead's one of my favorite movies, to where it's like, just the first one was definitely a love letter to those films, to where people went camping. Like, people did things that they weren't supposed to do while they were camping, whether it was the camping scene in Jason Goes to Hell, or, I took a lot of inspirations from a lot of places for the first one. And then the second one, definitely, like, I mean, growing up with, like you said, Sleepaway Camp and the Friday the 13th, that definitely played a part. It was just difficult to find footing as far as, well, I don't want people to like watch this and be like, oh, this is like Friday the 13th, or oh, this is like Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, because it's not.
So I definitely had to we changed some things up, and I think the main thing that made it not feel that way was, I call them dick slugs. It was adding those to where it gave it more of a creature, or even a lot of people have said like Night of the Creeps type vibe. So it's kind of like teeter-tottering, like Don't Fuck in the Woods was like 70s, 80s, and then Don't Fuck in the Woods 2 has like a 80s to like very early 90s vibe to it.
After part 1, how soon did you start working on part 2 for the sequel? Was it already written while part 1, or no, or how'd this all come about?
What's crazy is that I didn't think part 2 was ever going to be a thing. I wasn't even thinking about it. After we finished and released the first one, I was like, I had a panic moment, like, oh shit, I'm going to be known as that guy that made that fucking movie. So I immediately, that was in October. By February, I had raised enough money and got enough producers to make another film, which was a werewolf film, which Wild Eye just released, called Animal Inside, to where I was at that point trying to get out from under the Don't Fuck in the Woods name, because it casts a shadow to where like just nobody was really watching anything else that I was putting out there. So that would have been the summer of 2017, an investor messaged me and said, hey, I'll give you 10 grand if you'll make it Don't Fuck in the Woods 2. So I said, well, let me think it over. Because really at that point I was like, I don't even know what the fuck I do. Like, it was on the spot. It was while we were filming a like drama thriller film. So I was trying to like stay in that headspace, but then the woods were calling. So I took that guy up on his investment, started writing, and then I started writing with my co-writer, Cheyenne Gordon. And then as soon as we like film a teaser and get info out there that we're going to do a sequel, the investor disappears.
Oh, no.
And to this day, I still haven't heard from him.
Oh, wow.
So at that point, it was like, well, shit. We announced this film. We got to make it now. So my producer from the first one, Chris Borowski, he came in and he like helped us a little bit, like got us some initial capital. And then we were like, okay, with this capital, we can definitely film another teaser. That way we can have 2. We can launch an Indiegogo and go that route. So it's always an uphill battle with these fucking films.
Yep, I would say so. Jesus. That sucks, man, to have somebody to like, oh, here's your dollar. It's kind of like that commercial. You want $1? Here's your dollar. Oh,
right.
Oh, just about had it.
Because, I mean, finding funding then was a lot easier than now. But it just, either way, it's a horrible pain in the ass, because no matter what, it's a business. So everybody wants to make money. So, for that $10,000, he wanted like 50%, which would have in turn been a bad deal for me, like a horribly bad deal. So I'm kind of thankful he did just disappear.
For sure. Man, this movie could have took many different paths, but how crucial was it for you to stay, on that authenticity of this movie?
Right. I mean, the first one, I mean, like I said, that took 4 years to make. We filmed that movie 3 different times.
Oh my God.
So some actors were cool with their lines, didn't even need to look at a script. Some would just improv, to where this one we definitely stuck a lot closer to the script. That way, whenever there is humor, it's where it needs to be. Because it's very easy to get off the rails and just go with people just throwing out their own lines and it become horribly funny. But then you can have like funny here, funny here, funny here. But in between it, you know, somebody gets a dick slug in the ass or something, like, to where it's like, with this one, we wanted funny in there, but we didn't want it to the max. Like the first one, I feel definitely has more comedy. Roman Josart, who plays Mac, the first one, I mean, he pulled a lot of those one-liners directly out of his ass, and I mean, they were great. I mean, for what they were, they worked. But with this film, like, I mean, also it didn't hurt that we didn't really cast a whole bunch of funny people. We definitely wanted to have more guidelines, have a script that, like, hey, let's actually try to stick to this time.
Yeah. Did you already have an idea of who you wanted for the main roles, or bring back maybe from part one on this one?
Well, I knew Brittany Blanton, who plays Jane. I knew I wanted her back no matter what. We were in talks to have Nadia White back, who played Lacey. It was a scheduling thing. She's an adult film star, and her career kind of took off.
Oh, yeah.
She was very busy. Other than that, we didn't really... I mean, there were options, because we knew we wanted there to be some sort of new creature that could turn other people into creatures. So really, at that point, we were like, we could throw a dartboard at a wall of photos and bring whoever the fuck we wanted back.
Yeah.
But I think it was crucial for being able to keep going forward to just have new people and leave Jane alone. That way she has to basically she's fighting to survive again.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Just keep adding her in there, man. Kind of like the whole Michael Myers deal.
Right.
Oh, man. So let me ask you this, man. And I know this is tough because this is your baby. This is your part one, now part two. You've seen it go from infancy now to, adulthood a little bit here. But what about this, Shawn? Was it hard after seeing this final product? Was it difficult to subtract anything from it? Was it hard to say, no, we need to take this out, but in the back of your mind going, no, that needs to be there?
There's a couple scenes I cut from the film that I felt like in the end were just kind of, I call it fluff. Like it was just to add minutes onto the runtime. Like there's a scene where Gil and Tasha go into a work shed to find a satellite phone that's been broken somehow. And then Tasha in turns tries to seduce Gil. And Gil's like, no. It was like, it was just kind of fluff. It would have extended the film, but it really didn't have a secure point other than the satellite phone had been broken. Well, we can just say that in another scene and boom. Like,
yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily hard, but the whole end of the film, the original ending, we ended up just cutting, scrapping. We didn't even finish filming all of the original ending. So then everything like in the cave, like we built that cave inside my apartment. Because I was like, it was winter time, so we couldn't film outside. I was like, let's just go this route. And if anybody says anything like, oh, that cave doesn't look real, I'm going to tell them the same thing I told some of the producers. I was like, this is called Don't Fuck in the Woods 2. People aren't hoping that this wins an Oscar. Like, this is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to distract you from the horrors that are going on in the world.
Do you prefer working with upcoming actors and actresses, or does it even really matter, man, to you at this point?
Honestly, it doesn't matter. As long as I know people's work ethic, like, I would rather work with somebody who may not be a like amazingly skilled actor, but they're willing to learn and they listen to direction. Like, actors are a beast all themselves. They are a different breed of people, to where having somebody that is definitely willing to take, like, will listen. Because I've worked with some actors who, like, they'll listen to me and be like, okay, yeah, I got it. And then they'll do their own thing or do something completely fucking different. I'm now to the point where I like working with talent that I know is just dedicated. Like, I'm not necessarily like, if they feel uncomfortable, like they can't fill the shoes of this role or something, as I see it, it's my job to help comfort them and help guide them to see what I see. Like, because I see potential in all these people, and it's just, they have options. They have different routes that they can take. And if they listen, and hopefully I have the right idea, it could benefit us both.
When you see the feedback from people watching your films saying cut down on this or need to add more of this, do you take that into consideration, or do you just let the movie come together on its own and then start looking at it?
Well, I mean, I will always read and think about what people say, but a lot of times, unless it's like crew or like my director of photography or camera operator, like, I tend to listen to people who've been there the whole time.
Yeah.
More versus, like, had a couple people come out and be they on a different movie they came out to be extras, and they had never made a film, and they had opinions all themselves, like, this should have been done this way, but you chose to do it this way, so just know that you're wrong.
So let me ask you this. Me and you both are horror buffs. We love horror movies. Everything under the sun has been done for horror, But do you see eventually, maybe one day, the classic slasher guy will come back, something out of this, out of left field will take it over? Maybe that will be another Jason or Freddy or Michael or Chucky or Puppet Master. I'm just throwing stuff out there.
And I see, I'm gonna yes, and it will only happen that way if somebody gives me the rights to make a Critters movie.
Ooh.
I would love to like bring Critters back to what it used to be. but yeah, I really don't know. It seems like we are nearing that time. It seems like about every 10 years, somebody does something to get noticed that kind of influences the rest of filmmaking for the rest of that decade. So it would be nice to think that we're gonna any day now have some film come out that's gonna do that. But man, it just, filmmakers these days, even myself, like, we're so worried about moving on to the next project, to where a lot of the filmmakers, the reason why everybody is, there are fan bases for Jason and Freddy and Leatherface and Michael, is because they did something that was different for their time.
Yeah, I totally forgot about Leatherface. God, I feel like an idiot now.
Our time and our culture, everyone is completely fucking desensitized.
Oh yeah.
So it's like being able to do that is going to be a task.
Okay, so here's my opinion, and this is my opinion only, folks, and this is just me, honestly. I think that, and this is me again. I'll say that 3 times in this, just a little bit, so that people understands. I think that Jeepers Creeper, that character, that could have been another one if it was done more scarier and more gorier. You know what I'm saying? I think that would have been.
I definitely feel like if we look at horror icons as like I don't know, high school football, you have varsity, and then you have, I don't even know what it's called, JV. Yeah. Jeepers Creepers, I feel, is right there on the JV team. Like I feel like him and like Art the Clown, because they came from more of indie roots.
Yeah.
To where, I mean, most of the horror icons out there had some sort of studio affiliation, to where, they had money to make them icons.
Yeah, that's true.
Indie guys, we don't. So it's like, for Art the Clown and like I don't even know what the thing is called from Jeepers Creepers, just the Creeper?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they've had to work for it. So,
and that movie's come under some scrutiny with the producers and all that stuff. But you know what? The character itself, that was my favorite part of it. That movie. I mean, I'm just saying, if it's a little bit gorier and had a different production, all this stuff. Oh man, the sky's the limit, my friend.
I mean, the cathedral in that, of all the bodies, I wish we could have saw more of that and lived in that world for a little more.
Yeah,
because it's like when I look at a film, I'm like, that's where the budget went. And it's like, and we didn't get to see it a whole lot. So I wish we could have seen that more.
What do you hope everyone takes away while watching part 2 of this sequel, man? What do you hope they get from, and even go back to watch part 1 and then watch part 2, all of it?
Well, first I got to start with, I hope that they don't get any STDs. My friend Rihanna, she uses the first film as like a first date tool. Like, this is how you figure out if somebody can hang. And yeah, so we'll go with, I hope nobody gets STDs, but I hope they just have fun. Like, don't take it super seriously. It's not meant to be that way.
Exactly.
Like, this is, I don't want to say it's campy horror, but it's B-movie horror. Like, I don't take that as an insult. Some filmmakers are like, they don't like it when their films are called B-movies or whatever. I've had people call my films bargain bin movies. So it's like, as long as this film like entertains you in some way, shape, or form, maybe makes you cringe, I'm good. That's all I'm looking for.
And for those who say B movies and put movies down that way for B, you don't know what you're missing. You've totally missed it. Because, and Shawn will probably agree with me when I say this, some of those movies are some of the best movies that's ever made that just didn't get, for some odd reason, the push that it needed to get. But so good right where they are. So there you go. Shawn, my friend, how can folks stay in touch with you? Buy this movie that comes out on October the 11th, and plus all your other stuff, man. How can they do that?
You can find me anywhere, Instagram, all those social media platforms, at SM Burkett. We have conceptmediallc.com, which you can buy most of my films at, or Don't Fuck in the Woods is currently available for pre-sale on Amazon for a DVD and Blu-ray edition. And the Blu-ray has a documentary in it called What Happens in the Woods. That is like, what's funny is it's longer than the first film. But that also comes with a poster and a nice slip cover. It's definitely more of a collector's edition. So those are currently available for pre-order on Amazon.
Before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Oh, for sure. Hello, I'm film director Shawn Burkett, and you have been listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has that podcast link and that YouTube link, and please go and subscribe to that YouTube link because I need the subscriptions. Please, folks, come on. And I told you, you'll have a lot of fun once you subscribe and check out all these interviews. Please get out and check out Don't Fuck in the Woods 2 that comes out October the 11th from film director Shawn Burkett. You won't be disappointed, folks. And hey, if you get scared or, if anything else goes on a little hanky-panky, don't blame me or Shawn. We just said, you just go watch it. If you get an STD or whatever, that's not me. You bring that to Shawn. I'm just, it's whatever. But thank you, Shawn, so much for doing this interview with me, man. And happy Halloween to you.
Yeah, thank you. And you too, man.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.